So, Rebecca, part of that package is so Joe Biden has basically set about dismantling everything that Donald Trump achieved over the last 4 years. So let's just rewind. Donald Trump was elected. He was the elected president. He had, as I said earlier, he had a whiteboard near the Oval Office. Mark Meadows told us all about it. And he scrupulously would tick off every commitment that he made, going right back from the tiniest ones made out on the stump, on the hustings somewhere or other. How is dismantling what the American people voted for 4 years ago part of this new brave world of democracy that he preaches?
Well, just on Trump's commitments, I think he said recently that he kept more promises than he actually made. And he did do a terrific job. What we're seeing here is not the first term of Joe Biden. It's the third term of Barack Obama. And we have to be very clear about that. So Barack Obama achieved a lot of things which frightened a lot of Americans. One of them that frightened them the most, and which was opposed by up to almost 3/4 of Americans opposed the Iran nuclear deal. Yeah. But Barack Obama saw it as his signature, and Joe Biden has said that he will set about, his team are renegotiating that. So what we saw with the Abraham Accords was obviously an attempt by countries in the region to say, no, we see Iran as the threat. Do not unlock $100 billion for Iran to turbocharge the destabilization and terror in the Middle East and beyond. But unfortunately, that's what Barack Obama did. And as I wrote in the Spectator Australia this week, Joe Biden is a puppet on a string. He's not a president. He is the marionette, and his masters are Barack Obama and the radical left, who want to seize this opportunity to remake America according to their...
How long, Rebecca, do you think the puppet will serve its purposes before he's discarded and Kamala is put in?
Well, let's see how it goes. But when Joe Biden was asked in December, what happens if you and the vice president have a disagreement, he said, well, I'll probably get some sort of an illness and just have to resign.
God, hell of a... Gideon, Trump has promised to return. He's promised to return, but possibly not in the way one might expect. Just have a listen.
A goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form.
Gideon, back in some form. It sounds like the Blob or the Terminator remoulding himself into something else unrecognisable. What form do you think Trump 2.0 will look like, Gideon?
Well, his first job will be to plan the Trump presidential library. You know, every president gets a library, and the Trump library will be amazing. I hope he just augments Trump Tower and sticks this big monument to himself in the centre of Manhattan, and all those millennial hipsters will have to walk by it on the way to work every morning. But look, as for what Trump does next, I think the most important thing is for Trump to be an elder statesman, not of the Republican Party or even of the US government, quite frankly, but of the movement he created. As I said before, this is a very, very scary time for his supporters, for conservatives, for the American heartland. They are being targeted like never before. They need support and they need moral leadership, and they ain't going to get it from the likes of George W. Bush or cocaine Mitch McConnell. They have just completely vacated the field. So the most important thing Trump can offer his people right now is catharsis and as he said very eloquently in his farewell address yesterday, the hope and the belief on some level that America's best days lie ahead of it, because that's the kind of good oil that we all need right now, quite frankly.
Rebecca, what do you think Trump 2.0... I mean, people have talked about maybe he'll set up a news station, maybe he'll set up a website, maybe he'll set up something to rival Twitter because he's been banned off that. Gideon touched on this idea that there is this hunger out there. There are a lot of people, his supporters... he certainly lost some support, I guess, over the Capitol Hill riot and the way he was, I think, unfairly smeared on that, but that's a separate discussion. What do you see him doing? And I guess also your thoughts on the Capitol Hill thing.
Look, I think it's hard to know. He has talked about forming a new party called the Patriot Party, or people close to him have. I guess I think that would be a mistake, because I think it's what he did this time round, which was to capture the Republican Party, is a much better move. By splitting the right, you condemn it to opposition. So you need to be able to really take control of the mainstream party, and I think he has when he said we'll be back in what form, there are some very able people around him. His children have obviously shown a lot of promise, although still relatively young in the gerontocratic stakes that is US politics. Mike Pompeo has done a fantastic
Terrific job. Absolutely.
People are talking also about people like Tucker Carlson. So I think that there are some...
He stole my beating hard.
There are some terrifically interesting prospects. I agree with Gideon and with you, Rowan, that it's a very sinister time. We have big tech, we have big pharma, we have the woke corporations all getting together with the Democrats on this very left-wing, corporatist, elitist agenda, and it's quite overwhelming. How do people fight back? But I have hope. I think, honestly, here in Australia, we're going to help them. Right here from Sky News.
Well, funnily enough, in that speech earlier on, Gideon, Donald Trump referred to one nation. And I thought Mark Latham must be sitting up looking pretty excited, and Pauline Hanson at the moment. Yes, Donald's thinking of joining One Nation. I mean, how good would that be? Now, just tell me, Gideon, quickly, your thoughts on the Capitol Hill thing. The whole idea is that he incited all this violence, therefore all Trump supporters are evil and terrible, and for all time they're going to be tarred with this brush. Your thoughts on that?
Look, did Trump incite violence directly or encourage violence? No, he didn't. He called for a peaceful protest. Did he overplay his hand by insisting that he was cheated out of winning the election for as long as he did? Yes, I think he did overplay his hand, and I think towards the end he did lose the plot a bit, and he did let his supporters down a little bit. All that said, I have concerns, or I had concerns about the US election as well. He had his day in court, and that probably should have been that. But this idea that America is going to be overrun by this marauding, rampaging gang of MAGA hat-wearing cretins, it's just not true. And in fact, today, on the day that Joe Biden was inaugurated, there were riots in the US. There was vandalism in the US. There were windows being smashed in capital cities in the US. But it wasn't the MAGA people doing it. It was Antifa. Antifa, having dispensed with Trump, are still going on with violence. So this right-wing terrorism scare, as I said, at the very most charitable, it is a beat-up, but more likely it is an excuse to silence people like me, people like you, and the 74 million people who saw something in Donald Trump that they believed in and are now feeling very, very hurt that not only is their man gone, but all of them have a target on their backs. It is wrong. It is against everything America should stand for, and everybody, left, right, centre, and everybody else should be very concerned about this dynamic.
Gideon and Rebecca, just very quickly, Donald Trump left a note on the desk of Joe Biden in the Oval Office. This is, of course, a time-honoured tradition. Gideon, what do you think that note from Donald Trump to Joe Biden said?
Well, look, it's a very important tradition in the US for the outgoing president to leave a note for the new president. I think it's very good that Trump did it. And I think he would have very graciously said, look, mate, thank you so much for agreeing to house sit. See you in 4 years.
Rebecca, very quickly.
I think he said, look, Joe, you know, you're a nice guy. Just make sure when you walk down the stairs that Kamala isn't behind you. And then I think he probably...
Fantastic. Well, I've got it here, actually, and he actually said, Joe, you know I won. There you have it. Good night from Rowan Dean, Rebecca Weisser and Gideon Rosner. That's Inside the News. I'll see you tomorrow night at 8. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.